Good morning. Let's keep that energy. How are we doing? All right. Let's get things going. Are we on the right page? Okay. Well, I'm Chanita.
And I'm older sister Chantai.
And we are the founders of Melanin.Tech.
All right, so what is Melanin.Tech? Long story short, it is an on and offline community that provides support for people of color in the tech industry. Some things we do, we host meetups, hopefully coming to a city near you soon because we are based out of Atlanta. We provide community channels online, like via Slack and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and anything social media we can get our hands on. As far as careers, we do post industry-related job listings, and we provide tips for resume building, interview prep, and also negotiating your worth. Another thing we're actually pretty proud of is we offer scholarships for conferences similar to this one. It's really important for us to help educate and push people to do something different and get involved. We do have swag, and not just us as people, but we do we do sell apparel such as these shirts you see here, and things like stickers, mugs, and things such as that nature, which we do have a lot of stickers we're giving away, so if you're interested, please come see us afterwards. And coming soon, what we are probably the most excited about is offering technical training and diversity training and consultation. So why did we form Melanin.Tech?
Well, before we get into our why, I think it's very important for us to share some of our own experiences, because I think you'll get an idea of why this came about.
All right, so for that, I can go first. I'll start in college. I was literally desperately searching for an internship, and that was because they give you two choices. You can either accept an internship, or you go take this busy work class where they say you just write a bunch of papers and all this other thing. Pretty much are trying to convince you or push you to doing the internship. I tailored my resume and submitted it to more companies than I would like to admit, and I also had some career experience at this point, and I got nothing. No emails, no calls, nothing. And I remember running into this guy, a black male in technology, and his name is, Roderick. And he was like, I never put my real name on resumes, I use Rod. And I was like, why would you do that? And he was like, have you tried using Shan versus Chantai? So C-H-A-N, which I don't even know what that really pronounces, instead of C-H-A-N-T-A-I. I honestly thought he was a little crazy, and I kind of thought that would be a little bit deceptive, but at this point I was desperate, so I did it. And I resubmitted that resume to some of the same companies, and I started getting responses. And this is the first time it really made me start thinking, wow, that's kind of, what's going on here? Fast forward a little bit, I did get lucky enough to run into a recruiter and land an awesome interview for a development position at a software consulting agency, and shortly after getting bumped up to a project manager. And for me, this was literally a dream come true. Literally, this is what I wanted, and I couldn't believe it happened so fast. But it was a dream come true until it wasn't. And I think that had a lot to do with me being in my own head. I started looking around, and I noticed no one else looked like me. And I started noticing when clients would meet me, they would almost seem like they were slightly disappointed. It was a different conversation talking to them over the phone versus when I would fly out to see them, especially when I met my clients based out of the UK. I think I really threw them for a loop. But for me, this kind of started messing with my psyche a little bit. I started doubting myself more, and I felt like I needed to be different. I forgot that this company hired me as Chantai, and I started being Shan. And I felt a void almost instantly. And I actually ended up leaving that company, not necessarily for those reasons, but because I decided to marry military. My husband snatched me to the middle of Mississippi, literally, with nothing around. But When I left, there was a huge void. I don't feel like I ever fulfilled that position as Chantai. I felt like they only knew Shan.
And somewhat to a similar aspect. So I was working for a tech company in ATL. We had the PlayStations, the ping pongs, the free coffee and snacks. All of y'all know what I'm talking about. So I loved it, of course. I mean, who doesn't like PlayStation and snacks? I mean, yeah. Until I didn't. I started to notice a trend. We started to hire only friends of friends, which it became like a big fraternity house after a while. And then we were also turning away amazing candidates because they did not fit the company culture. Bullshit. So I noticed that trend happening, and I was determined to speak up. So I scheduled a meeting with my manager at the time just to give some of my suggestions for improvements on hiring and also improvements on how to make the fellow employees feel included within the company culture. Long story short, it was like talking to a brick wall. I got completely denied, completely shut down, and needless to say, I was defeated. And then not too long after that, the company I work for now, Help Scout, they came out with their 2017 Diversity and Inclusion blog post. And this is one of my favorite companies, so I was like, yes, let's do this. I know they got some popping information in here. And I was shocked to find out that there was not one black person that worked for the company at all. So I was like, okay, I failed here at my company as far as giving my ideas, so let me just take a shot and see if they want to hear me out. And I did, and when I applied for the job, I remember saying something along the lines of, allow me to be the first person in your company to really start to push that impactful change that this industry so desperately needs. I have ideas, I have drive, I have passion, just give me a chance. It worked out. And so, fast forward to now, I am employed by Help Scout, and I love the company, and I was employed because I met all the requirements, and I'm a badass at what I do, not just because I'm black, but, I'm very proud to be the first black person of the company. And I realized that people do want to hear what I have to say. People do want to make changes. We can't always influence everyone, which I think we're all starting to find out. But for the ones who do want to listen and they want to make that change, that's where we need to be. And that's where we need to start pushing forward. And then I do feel like everything else will start to trickle down. So yeah, in short, people were listening to me, and it felt damn good. So, which brings us more onto our why. There we go. So we want to provide that education. We want to show our community the opportunities that they really do have within this industry. I know when I was younger, if you would have said that, you could possibly have a job in tech, I'd be like, what? What is that? So I didn't really know that this was even a possibility. And then we want to, pretty soon host different technical classes to give people a chance to learn how to land these jobs and also the skills that they need to keep these jobs and to learn from other Melanin techies. And we want to give it a safe place. We want people to have that space to where they feel comfortable. They can be around people who look and act like them. They don't have to hide anything. There's no code switching involved. And then we want to promote equality. It's very important that people realize that the underrepresented, we're not seeking revenge. We're just seeking equality. And then the most important thing to us, at least, we want to assist in creating the much-needed dialogue to promote the change that we so desperately seek within the tech industry and honestly, just within the world, to be completely honest. So with that, there are 3 different types of things that we personally have tried to pitch to our managers or HR to get the conversation going, and we want to talk about those. So the first thing would be email. So this allows you to communicate with your leadership, HR, boss at a very convenient time. Oh, kidding. Let's see. Oh, no. Okay, email. This allows you to communicate with your leadership team or your HR manager, whatever the case may be, at a convenient time for all parties involved. This gives you a paper trail. Things like this can get sticky. It's not always a comfortable conversation to have, as we all know. So it's very important to keep track of all of your efforts. But one thing that I do want to point out, you must be prepared to not receive an immediate response. We all know with email, there are some of them still waiting in the inbox right now. So you have to be patient with the answer.
Okay. And my personal favorite is meetings. I'm more of a face-to-face type of person. When it comes to writing emails, especially in a work setting, I suck. I really do. I use too many adjectives and stuff that have no relation and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, cool, all right, talk to you later. So meetings are actually really good for me. The thing about meetings, you get the chance to see the raw emotion of the person or people you're talking to. And also another thing, you just have to be prepared for the response because it can be good or bad. I always say work on your surprise face, just because somebody might say something, you might be like, whoa, are you really saying this right now? But work on that face. And you're able to address concerns or questions on the spot. And the reason why I think I like that is because you get people's honest reactions sometimes right away when they don't really have a time to think about it and formulate it in a certain way. So that's why meetings.
And then another one would be the 2-pager. Some of you may know this as a 3-pager. Let's hope no one can ever refer to this as a 6-pager, because that's just kind of ridiculous. But this is where you want, this is for someone who loves data. They love information, but they may need some time to think it over. And I encourage you to throw everything at them in this 2-pager. Give them all the information that you have available to this topic. And keep it formal. Keep this almost as if it was a proposal for something super big and super important. Bless you.
Okay, so now that we've given those different channels of communication, we would like to include some information that you can put in there. One of the first things is the problem. Make sure you state the problem. And as uncomfortable as we know it can be, give examples. My sister's more of the swearer than I am, but sometimes you gotta call people out on their shit. That's the only way they'll realize it. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. But
Thanks.
And another thing is something I've learned in life, try really hard not to present a problem without offering some type of solution. I just realized that it kind of makes a person more receiving about what you have to say. If you're like, yo, you really messed up on this, but I think we can try this. And in that solution, just you can talk about things that you think might work or might change it, or even some actionable goals that you guys can obtain together. Challenges or risk. Pretty much you just want to give examples or talk about the things that make it challenging and the risks that are involved with not changing or not even being open to change. Impact. Make sure you point out the impact that this initiative can make. Open their eyes to realizing what you guys can do as a team. And one of my favorite phrases in pointing out that impact is drop some knowledge nuggets. Some people are really big on numbers, especially higher ups, I guess you would say, maybe like a CEO, so things like that. They like to see on paper what this change can do and make sure they're not inputting budget-wise into something that's not gonna really cause a difference. So maybe what you can do is you can include industry statistics. They're out there. You know, Google is amazing. And talk about some companies that have decided to make that D&I change and where it's brought their company. You can show where it started and where it is now. And then also, if you have them, include your own company statistics. You could talk about the growth that you've seen from the changes or the lack of. And it might be a good idea to include a diversity plan of action. Basically, just talking about things that you could see, talking about things you can actually do instead of just changing. And with that diversity plan of action, you can encourage a hiring outreach to different people. It sounds so easy and so simple, but a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And it's very easy to stick to something that you know that works. I think we all do it. And you might use a certain pipeline that you're like, hey, this has worked for us in the past, I'm gonna continue using this, but encourage them to try a different pipeline as far as hiring goes. And also, not only hiring friends of friends, as my sister mentioned earlier. I do understand it's really nice to have that close-knit community in your work environment. So sometimes you're like, hey, do you know anybody who's looking for this? but maybe encourage them to try outside of the box and somebody they wouldn't typically see as being in the culture. Let's see, get involved in LGBT and different diverse communities. It kind of just opens your eyes and shows you something different. Also, let's see, create a channel, like a Slack channel, talking about D&I and being very open on it. And like her current job, it's okay, you can keep going, let's keep talking. But like Help Scout did, state a commitment to change. I think it's really good because not only do you mention awareness, but you also talk about, it also holds yourself accountable. One thing I did see that I thought was pretty cool, this company in San Fran created a guy jar. Basically, a guy jar is very similar to a swear jar. Instead of, whenever anybody takes something that's gender neutral and they make it a guy thing, you put $1 into the jar. I thought that was pretty neat. Although I say guys a lot. I'm like, hey guys, so I'd probably be broke. But, and then once you reach a certain amount, you just donate it to some kind of charity. So that's something else that's also fun and not so stiff that you can offer. Or just blog, start a blog.
And with all of those things, we also do want to, we say ways to encourage your manager, but really we're just humbly saying ways to challenge your manager. So kind of other things that you all can do to foster that diversity and inclusiveness within your own company and make sure they do it as well. So the first thing we want to encourage is to become an ally, just be an ally. And an ally is a member of a social group that enjoys some privilege that is working to end oppression and understand their own privilege. And it sounds very simple, we know that, but it makes such a huge impact. And then we also want to encourage people to lean into discomfort. This is something I work on a daily basis. I am very non-confrontational, surprisingly, since I'm the swearer of the family, apparently. But I don't like to make things uncomfortable for anyone. So one thing I definitely have to challenge myself to do is kind of switch it up a little bit. And this can include things like, as she was saying, the guy jar. So instead of, so be very mindful of the language that you're using. Instead of saying, hey guys, try like, hello everyone, or hi fellow humans. And of course, my favorite, what's poppin' party people. That's always a good one too to bring to meetings. And also self-educate. So we understand there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Transparency is a very beautiful thing. But at the same time, if there's something you don't know, take the initiative to get your hands dirty. Dive in, do the research yourself, and don't always depend on that particular diverse group to give you the answers for you. And then accept critical feedback. That's a major, major, major one. If you mess up, it's okay. It happens. But apologize, discuss it, learn from it, and move on. And then recruit with intention. Before you start to recruit for your next open position, think about the tactics that you're already using. Are you just talking to friends of friends? Are you going to a former employee's LinkedIn and going down their page of contacts? Think about something different. I want us all to start to reach out to different people. So a challenge that I have for all of you, which is another challenge that we take very seriously that we're doing too, is to get to know different people. And I want us all to know 5 amazing people within the same industry that are either a woman, someone of the LGBTQ community, a veteran, someone who may be in a different age group other than you, someone with a disability, someone of color, or even someone with a different educational background than you. So that is my challenge to all of us. Because if we don't start to diversify our own networks, things will stay the same. Yes, we're in here because we all want change, but we have to start to spread. We have to get that message out to everyone. Because the more we do so, I do feel like the easier this all will be eventually. And that's it. So this is where you can find us. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So so definitely reach out to us if you ever want to. Our website is the company name, which makes it pretty easy. It's Melanin.Tech, so no surprises there. Does anyone have any questions or comments, concerns, anything? Yeah.
I'm curious because you said that are you still the only Black employee?
Yes.
So I'm curious in terms of that, now that you're hired, now that you work there, how has it been feeling included, feeling part of it, and helping to
So I'm working with the amazing Leia Nobler, who's one of our people ops people at Help Scout, and we are really diving into the issues of like the lack of diversity, to be completely honest. And so we're doing things like creating the D&I channels within Slack, and we're also seeing what we can do internally to make everyone feel included. I will say, as the only Black person within my company, I feel included, I feel heard, and I feel valued, and I feel protected. And I think we are all out here searching for our tribe, and as right now, I found my tribe, which feels really good. But now we're doing the harder work. We really are trying to pay attention to the different trends, and we're working together. And I know one thing for her that was kind of different, I would say, is she didn't know if it was okay to come to me and ask me these questions. She didn't want to be like, well, I'm only asking the only Black person because this is a diverse question. But I encouraged her, like, be transparent with me. If you have a question, if you're wondering about something, ask me. Because I came into this telling you I want to make that impact. I want to be the change. So yeah, we are definitely doing a lot of different things to kind of work on who we're hiring and who we're reaching out to. Like our outreach program, we accept applicants from everywhere, of course, but we are reaching out to a more diverse demographics, to women and people of color, to see if we can start to pull in a more diverse team. Any other questions or anything?
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thanks, everybody.